come back, but not for long because the rain, well, it's on the way. We're on your side with when we can expect the best chance for stormy weather and if it will impact your Saturday. And did the rain last night leave your car a little muddy? Well, we bring you the weather extra on why this happened and where it came from.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And welcome into Weather Extra, and we've got the extra on a rain chance coming back later on tomorrow night. One of the next big things that we're going to be talking about right now here on Red Mountain. It's 85 degrees in Birmingham. Temperatures making a big comeback today with some upper 80s. Actually, I noticed Greensboro was at 90 degrees earlier, so we did see a couple of the big 9-0s across parts of West Alabama. But let's get right to it here, show you what we're tracking coming up tomorrow. No severe weather outlook for our area tomorrow. We're in good shape Friday. But notice Saturday, we start to see that severe weather risk starting to ramp up, especially for areas to the north. That's what's next. We have a system that we're tracking. There's a more significant risk of severe weather to the north. Look at this, a rare, moderate risk tomorrow that's impacting parts of Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and even parts of Tennessee. Nashville's in the enhanced risk. If you're traveling in that direction, could be some intense storms, a tornado, damaging wind threat, so stay weather alert and certainly make sure you have the WBRC weather app before you travel. It goes wherever you go and you'll get those alerts. It follows you. So if you're in an area that has a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, it can be outside of Alabama. You will get that alert wherever you are. So make sure you have that. Live look out the window right now of Sky Vision. This is from Tuscaloosa at the River Market. Beautiful evening. A great day to catch up on some yard work. We've had so much rain here lately, and this evening the dry weather continues. You can see 83 at Center at this hour. We're showing 82 at Jasper, 85 at Hamilton. So even for locations to the north, we're still feeling that hot weather, and the temperatures overnight lows like a summer night. We'll have lows right around 70 degrees. But here's what you can expect for your Friday, as we say it. In the afternoon, temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, and we will have a nice mix of clouds and sunshine. There's a chance that maybe a couple of isolated showers could sneak into far north Alabama, but that should stay north of us here in places like Coleman, Hamilton, Hackleburg, so we're not expecting much as far as wet weather during the day tomorrow. Again, those rain chances come back late tomorrow night. But notice tomorrow the wind still out of the southwest at about 10 to 15. That breeze today really helping us out with those hot conditions, and for tomorrow the breeze comes back. So another breezy day, great day as I mentioned. If you take your lunch break, find a good shady area, it can make a big difference and really help us out. So breezy tomorrow, and then tomorrow night we're going to be tracking that front that moves in. Here's a look at the timing. You can see midnight to 5 a.m. for areas to the north, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. for central areas, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. for areas there further south. So this is early Saturday morning when we're talking about that greatest chance for rain, and we'll be talking about more scattered storms as we go into the day on Sunday. You'll see the rain chances here. Sunday it looks like more afternoon, but the thing about Saturday with us dealing with more rain in the morning helps to stabilize the atmosphere a bit, so that'll give us a little window to enjoy some outdoor activities Saturday before those rain chances come back on Sunday. But happening now, what we are tracking back to the far north, a significant severe weather outbreak producing multiple tornado warnings. Check out the scene from New Richmond, Wisconsin. This is the same system that will be impacting our region late tomorrow night. Of course, weaker, but this was as a tornado moved through earlier this afternoon. And you can see at the moment, look at all of these tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings pushing through Wisconsin, even the Chicago area impacted. So I know maybe if you have interest with respect to flights out of Chicago, might want to check. There might be some delays there, but that's all well north of us, the upper Midwest right now, and then we'll see that storm development further south tonight into tomorrow, and then what's left of that system, that's what's going to move in across our region early Saturday morning. But new today, the National Weather Service in Birmingham, well, they'll be updating some of the computer systems, and it could temporarily affect how some alerts are sent to the public. Starting on Monday, they will be updating the Advanced Weather Interactive Processing System, which displays information regarding weather and water warnings. Even though core forecasts and warnings won't be affected, the National Weather Service office in Peachtree City will assist during the upgrade. They often step in to help in times of need. NOAA weather radio transmitters in places such as Birmingham, Anniston, Tuscaloosa, and Selma will also be off air during this time. The updates will be completed by Wednesday. So again, make sure you have redundancy, multiple ways to get those alerts. They will remain open and staffed during this time for the public and partners, phone calls, and other functions that can be completed without the AWIP system. And check this out. Many of you checking out your cars this morning and you're like, man, I just washed this thing yesterday. Well, you may have noticed some streaks of dirt and almost look like pollen out there, but what you were actually seeing, well, I like to call it dirty rain. But yesterday, a lot of those showers that moved through fairly quickly, the flow pattern originated, we were seeing more of a westerly flow from out west, out from parts of Texas. And what can happen sometimes? Well, it can pick up the dust, and those atmospheric winds, the atmosphere can transport that dust in our direction. So when you get the rain, it just filters that out, and there you go. You got a grime on the car again. And if you maybe a great evening, actually, if you may be thinking about washing the car, I just want to show you tomorrow. You've got some good car wash weather here early in the day. Let's show you here by 11 to 12 o'clock. Temperatures in the 80s, and you can see there's just a mixture of clouds and sunshine. But another great day to wash the car, do a little yard work for tomorrow. But we're going to be talking, of course, about some more rain moving in tomorrow night. Just hopefully, I don't think we need to be too worried about tomorrow night dealing with muddy rain. And with a lot of the rain that we've been experiencing, it's caused the lake levels to rise. Meteorologist J.P. Dice joins us now from Logan Martin Lake as he talks about what he saw.
Here on Logan Martin, the lake is finally getting back to normal. We got some attention this week, and the reason for that, the lake levels, they got up pretty high because of excessive rainfall that we had from this big area of low pressure that kept it raining for days. Well, that's gone. Lake levels are coming back down. It didn't break a record. The record level's around 475 feet. We're closer to normal now at 464. Word of advice, if you're going to be on the lake, especially this weekend, you need to watch out for a lot of debris. There's still logs and debris in the water that can tear your boat up. And looking around at my dock, it needs a little help too. I'm Logan Martin. I'm meteorologist J.P. Dice.
And of course, we'll be checking out that fishing forecast and some wet weather impacts early Saturday. But if you do want to get out on the water, I do expect some breaks in the rain this weekend. Still sort of scattered. But we're going to take you across the country now to Arizona. We first brought you the story yesterday right here on Weather Extra of the Greer fire that burned nearly 3,500 acres. Today, Lillian Donahue takes us to the scene where neighbors are helping each other after having to evacuate from those fires.
The donations building in Springerville.
So we have people that need occasional food and occasional water.
As the Greer fire has forced more families from their homes.
The wind is shifting. The wind was heading that way more. It's now coming more this way.
Families like the Roses.
We are just trying to make sure that we are safe and ready to go if they do call the go.
And they did.
They're going up and down the streets, knocking on doors.
A few hours later Wednesday afternoon.
I guess we're being evacuated. Prayers go out to the firefighters and all those responding and helping.
Here's 3.
Students out of school due to the fire received bag lunches.
A little bit that we can do is what I want to do.
One woman serving them
I love the area.
has herself been evacuated from her home in Greer.
And I said, I got to go up there and get my dog. I barely rescued my dog.
The Greer fire reminding some of the devastating Wallow fire in 2011.
It took 4 or 5 years to even get back to anything close to normal. And then obviously our mountain views are still not the same.
But if anything's certain, in a situation that changes with the wind,
Everybody is amazingly coming together.
it's the resilience of this community bound to leave no one behind.
I was offered homes by the teachers. I was offered Airbnb, and it was amazing.
Well, in 30 seconds, we continue to talk about what you can expect for the start of your weekend and head down to the Pacific, where today marks the beginning of the Pacific hurricane season. We'll see you after the break. Well, checking in with our first alert weather watchers, Bud Bean in Northport reporting 89 degrees for a high temperature. Stephen Duke at Rimlap 86. Jennifer McAfee in Cordova 87 for a high temperature for today. First alert weather headlines. We have dry weather for tomorrow for most of the day. Line of rain and storms late tomorrow night. Main impacts very early Saturday. If we see any rain later in the day Saturday, the way the model data is trending today, check in for updates because a lot can change, but it looks like afternoon very scattered. And then I'm watching Sunday as well. Some of those storms throughout the weekend, even Saturday morning, could be on the stronger side with some gusty winds, some hail, intense lightning, so we'll need to watch out for that. We're in good shape tomorrow, though, for Regions Tradition. If you're heading out, you can see there by lunchtime 83 degrees. Afternoon highs, though, another hot day coming up. Thankfully, a little breezy to help us out. We'll have those temperatures back in the upper 80s. But with these rising temperatures, you know, we're getting closer to hurricane season. Today actually marks the first day of the Pacific hurricane season, and currently there are no signs of tropical formation within the next 7 days. We'll be watching that closely. The first named storm in the eastern Pacific forms around June 10th with the first, and that's on average, with the first hurricane forming by June 26th on average. This season is expected to be more active than the 2024 season, which saw 13 named storms and 4 hurricanes. Of course, a lot of those systems sometimes some of the leftover moisture can impact our region, but we do monitor those conditions over in the Pacific. But looking ahead to the Atlantic names here coming up, Andrea is the first on the list this year. We have Barry back on. You know, sometimes when these hurricanes, when you see one like an Ivan, you know, one of those catastrophic hurricanes, those names are retired, but sometimes you'll see repeating names. But here's the names for the Atlantic season. The Atlantic hurricane season actually runs from June 1st through November 30th, and it's all driven by those warm sea surface temperatures. So that's a reason. Once that ocean temperature starts rising into the mid-70s, that's when tropical formation can happen this time of the year. And plus, the way the overall pattern develops this time of the year, you don't have a lot of cold fronts, so that allows for those systems to form. But hey, if we see anything, we'll certainly give you the first alert. Well, Ethan Stein joins us now from the Governor's Hurricane Conference in Florida, where experts are preparing for the season.
From afar, there's no shortage of first responders at the Governor's Hurricane Conference. But take a closer look and you'll find classes canceled across the board.
We want to stay on top of things.
We connected with John Cernis at the conference and learned he works for a company helping governments get money from the federal government to fund disaster responses. Multiple trainings from FEMA being canceled, he says, makes it harder for him to understand changes.
If we mess it up, then the opportunity is there for them to lose funding. So we want to stay on top of things.
Federal funding cuts could wind up having an impact.
The city of West Palm Beach put out this video last month about the cuts. In it, the assistant fire chief and emergency manager for the city, Brett Bloomfield, says the federal government is canceling trainings all over the state.
We're starting to see at these events where they're stopping the classes. They're not having not funding the training as of right now.
We reached out to FEMA and the National Weather Service. NWS says it did not go to the conference due to travel restrictions, but says it remains committed to informing state and local officials about changes for the 2025 hurricane season through trainings at a different location and online.
There's constant changes to these regulations.
Back at the conference, officials are still trying to prepare, but those methods are changing, even at a well-attended conference.
Well, this comes as FEMA's acting chief says the agency is not necessarily unprepared for the hurricane season. According to an internal review, FEMA has minimal coordination with states right now, and they're dealing with new red tape that will probably slow emergency responses. But FEMA, they lost about 30% of full-time staff since the start of the latest administration due to layoffs and employee buyouts, and will likely face more reforms in staffing and reorganization in the months ahead. Well, don't go anywhere. We continue to talk about those rain chances for your Saturday morning and talk about how scientists are using algae to bring about renewable energy. We'll be right back with more First Alert Weather Extra. And welcome back into Weather Extra. We were telling you about a lot of the events happening. We have the Xterra North American Championship at Oak Mountain State Park. And looks like for Friday, we have perfect weather for that. Just a little toasty in the afternoon. Weekend down along the coast for the Sand in My Boots Music Festival. If you're heading down there, unless boots are required, I tend to prefer flip-flops there along the beach. Saturday and Sunday, temperatures in the 80s, and you can see some clouds around. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Next 24 hours for us, again, dry conditions. You'll notice into tomorrow morning that there's a system to the north, maybe a little bit of rain may try to reach far north Alabama. That looks to stay mostly north of us. What we're going to see is heavier rain late tomorrow night, mostly around that midnight to 3 a.m. time frames when it could first arrive. So most of the day, we're in fine shape. Just a breezy. Again, you can see winds out in the southwest and high, of course, with those afternoon temperatures back in the upper 80s. So crank up the AC tomorrow. Here comes a cold front, and this is the same system causing all that active weather north of us, and it quickly moves south. We'll see storms tomorrow across parts of the Ohio Valley, and then a line of storms that develops and eventually starts pushing south. Whatever's left of this could reach us Saturday morning. Some models say that this line's going to fall apart quickly as it moves into the area. So I do expect some weakening with this, but it still could be impactful. Early Saturday, some gusty winds, some intense lightning. So plan for 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Probably not the best morning to get the boat out and be fishing early in the day with those gusty winds moving through. So plan for that early Saturday morning, but it will move through fairly quickly. And then by mid-morning into the afternoon, we'll have a nice little window there with a break in the rain. So I do think into the heart of the day, into the early mid-afternoon, we should be in good shape if this timing doesn't change. But what will eventually happen Saturday night, some rain could come back, and especially by Sunday afternoon, and we could see a few severe storms this weekend. We've got this stalled front. You see it right in here, and we'll see another wave of storms and showers. Sunday, though, the timing certainly looks to favor the afternoon. And then looking ahead, we have another cold front around the middle of next week, and that looks to bring a noticeable change in temperatures. We're talking overnight lows going into Memorial Day weekend, possibly some low 50s and upper 40s. So beyond the 7-day, we got some cooler weather, some colder weather on the way. You'll see it here as we look at next week. Monday, Tuesday, drier. Chance for storms again around Wednesday morning, and then highs back in the 70s. But of course, keeping a close watch on the weekend. Headed down to Florida now, where Fox's Kylie Jones is sharing the process of one company working to turn harmful algae into a renewable energy source.
On the glistening lakes around Florida, what you might not be able to see is a major health hazard sitting on the surface.
We have so many lakes in Florida that are troubled by all the blooms that we have and the increasing amount of sun and heat, making them even worse.
Experts say algal blooms in our lakes are a growing problem.
We are now at a tipping point where we're seeing more nutrients in the water. While nutrients are good, we need them. Too many of them turn out to be turning into a harmful algal bloom.
Dan Levy, the founder of AECOM's algae practice, has been working on the project that you see here at Lake Bonnet for years.
We're looking at ways that we can remove nutrients from the water. So what we did is developed and patented an algae harvesting process.
Levy says this equipment runs 24/7 in this lake. It skims the water off where the algae typically sits.
We can separate the algae from the water by using microbubbles, and that gently brings the algae to the top where we can then scrape it off.
These systems then return clean water back into the lake and transform that algae into different forms of renewable energy.
We're repurposing that algae as a sustainable agricultural amendment and, more excitingly, as a feedstock for sustainable aviation fuel, sustainable diesel fuel.
If the algae is left to bloom in the water, leaders in Lakeland say it becomes toxic to wildlife, contributes to red tide, and can even be deadly to your dogs.
This is a way to be able to mitigate, if it's scalable, large enough, and there's a place to do it, to get rid of the algae and to a controllable, sustainable level within that lake so that it's healthy for the wildlife in it.
Kylie Jones, Fox 13 News.
Well, after the break, we're going to be checking in with some of your weather photos, and also we'll check on that 10-day forecast again, more on the weekend rain chances. We'll see you right after this break. Well, as always, we love those weather photos. And how about a lovely sunset at Panama City Beach? Ginger sharing that lovely view. Man, it would be nice to take a little trip down the coast. Angela Griffin sharing this rainbow over Straight Mountain. What a beautiful view there. Had a lot of rainbow photos here lately. Mandy Campbell, sunset in Heflin. Nice sunset photos. It's nice to see some of those with all the clouds that we've had around. Rick Langford in Rainbow City, well, he captured this view after the rain, and just check out all that steam fog lifting. You see that on a lot of summer afternoons after a very hot day. Joshua Burnham sharing this view of mean clouds there over Raglan as those storms moved in from the west earlier this week. But what you see there, a lot of what we call shelf clouds, and sometimes you get those very fibrous clouds. We call that scud cloud or debris clouds, and I know sometimes you look at that, it might even look like a funnel sometimes and can resemble, I call them tornado trick me clouds, because sometimes they kind of look like a tornado, but it's just when you have very moist tropical like atmospheres with a lot of rain, you end up with those clouds like that, the scud clouds as we call it. But share those photos on the First Alert Weather app, and of course with the app, don't wait on the warning, get the First Alert. You can download that for free, again, wherever you are. If you are traveling for the weekend coming up, those storms back in the forecast, watching Saturday morning. Sunday, we have scattered storms in the afternoon, highs back in the 80s, overnight lows around 70 degrees, but then later next week, we're talking highs in the 70s, overnight lows in the low 50s and upper 40s. So some big temperature changes coming up for later on next week. But Wednesday, it looks like Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning before that cooler air arrives, there's another cold front that could bring a chance for some showers and storms. So I think early Wednesday morning, the main impacts right now, based on long range data, it doesn't look like a washout. It looks like a kind of a broken line that's going to move in, but we still have plenty of time to watch that as we sort of fine tune that weekend. So check in for updates. Of course, Mickey's back tomorrow morning. I'll see you tonight first at 9 with the latest on the timing and your First Alert weather first at 9. Have a great evening.